G'day YouTube, JB from Oz here. So I just thought I'd do a quick video on using one of these knife sharpening systems. Typically what happens, we get these cheap Kiwi brand kitchen knives. It's a paring knife and then there's a chef's knife. And I'll do a major sharpening once every little while, and then I'll just touch it with the steel that I've got in order to just keep it sharp. But they've gotten to a stage now where I do need to do some attention, so I thought I'd take a video. So the system works with a range of stones, starting on a 70, 120, 280, 600 and 1000 grit stone. And the stones are provided with these arms that join onto them. And the jig to set your angle and sharpen your knife. So the first step with this kit is to essentially add the guide wires to each of the stones, which typically is done along a flat surface so that the guide wire is flat and square to the stone. Something along those lines there. So we'll just quickly set that up for each of the stones. So I've had this kit for about 3 years now, and I found the coarse stone seems to have degraded the fastest, and that's probably something to do with it being a coarse stone. I'm going to lubricate it today with inox. Inox is my lubricant of choice. That or Lanox, which is a more food grade product, but basically we get those all lined up, set, ready to go, so that we can work through our stones. 280, 120, 600, and our course there. Alright, so the way the jig is set up is that you have 17, 20, 25 or 30 degree angle, and you essentially just clamp the guide onto the blade so that you can get a good swing through that angle. So there's a nice firm grip on the blade. Just check clearance. So we've got clearance on the stone through the thumb screw. We can potentially go back a little bit further just to be sure that we've cleared it. We want a nice firm grip on the blade. There's 2 screws, so essentially you've got a spacer and then a jacking screw. So now I've got good clearance through the stone all the way through. So essentially then it's just a question of working the stone along the blade. You'll start to see an edge form up. Usually if I haven't done it for a while, I'll need to work different parts of the blade to get it established the way I'd like it to be. I'm going to sharpen the point up, a little bit more action there. Okay, so now I've got about a millimetre wide section on the blade that's all been sharpened to that same point. It looks like I've actually got a fracture on this blade, so this might not be long for this world. One thing, obviously, when you're working towards a blade, you want to keep your fingers on the top side of the guide, just to keep you well and truly out of the way of the blade. As you can see, there's quite a bit of stone coming off as we travel. So at first I was concerned that this kit wasn't going to last at all, but as I say, it has done me pretty well. Now 17 degrees is the sharpest angle, so it makes for a really sharp knife, but it also doesn't necessarily hold its edge for as long as you might want, so it's definitely the grade for the sharpest knife. You can sort of see there now there's a flat that's developing. Just come back, do the same from the other side. Now I'm working into the blade here. And what this is also going to be doing is developing a whole pile of coarse scratches on the surface of the blade. But so far, you can start to see that we're developing that usable edge there, and that means that we're establishing that angle. Alright, now we'll work up to the 120. And essentially, we just need to stone it until we get rid of all the coarseness from the previous stoning. Oh. What happened there is I accidentally went into the 20-degree hole, which means I was just taking the very tip of the blade off instead of getting an edge on it, which you can now possibly see a little bit better. And it starts to really show a finer face there. I'm certainly not a professional knife sharpener, this is just me home hobby use, so if you've got any suggestions or other ideas you'd like to share about how to do it, for me this has just been a really useful, quick and dirty way, yeah, clumsy clutches, to get a good edge on some kitchen knives. I certainly wouldn't want to be using a knife like this on something that needed a super clean kill or anything like that, a hunting knife or whatever. It's just important to take your time. Now we're starting to really develop more of an edge there. Alright, let's go up to the next one, which is the 280. This feels much more like a wiping than a cutting, because we are really now starting to develop a finer finish on the blade. I don't know if there's a better technique. Maybe somebody, as I say, wants to develop a response video to show me how the hell I should actually be using this tool, as opposed to my DIY home gamer version. Essentially getting it to the point where I've wiped across the length, rubbing away from me, away from the edge. Starting to look nice. And yes, getting sharp. So Alright, now we'll go to the 600. If you're rubbing towards the knife, obviously it'll be rolling a burr under and taking a burr backwards, but also runs the risk of, if you get a low hanging finger, taking the skin off it. So you just got to be careful here. And really the benefit of it is it allows you to hold the knife, the blade, at a consistent angle, so you are developing as easily as possible along that same plane. You can see how consistently it's coming back on that same plane. So that's now 1mm wide, 17 degrees, and I'm going to call that good. And release the clamp. Just a quick rolling over of any burr that might be remaining on the edge. Feels nice and sharp. Certainly sharp enough for kitchen use. Thank you for watching. Hope you found it useful. Deluxe sharpening system. Now they do also sell a version with diamonds, which I imagine would be less likely to degrade. But I think if you use the stones with a form of lubricant, it will help to keep them clear. But yeah, you can see on the side of the 70 there, it's definitely started to dig in a bit just here. Whether that was a defective stone or just a poor technique or quite what. Catch you next time. This time what I might do is just do one without thinking about the camera being there. Alrighty, that's the last one. So towards the end of it, I've tried to practice the technique which is shown here, which is purely coming from the handle through to the tip of the blade. It certainly looks like there's a nice flat cutting edge there. It's got a good, probably millimetre wide, which is all set on that 17 degrees. So I'm going to say that's pretty good. To pack it away, just basically undo it. Oh, when I first got the kit, some of them weren't dead flat, but it's really easy just to bend the wire here, and really critical is just to make sure that the wire is on the same plane as the base of the tool, because that's what's keeping your stone in line. So there you go. Thanks very much for watching. Hope somebody found it useful. I know my wife will, because she's now got sharp knives again. It's quite a neat kit. I think it cost about $13 or something like that, so it's not a lot you can buy for $13 these days. And it helps a novice like me actually get a really sharp, repeatable grind. And yeah, they're all got a nice sharp edge there, and then I can just touch them up by hand using my steel when they get blunt. And then occasionally I'll come back and do this same process again to all the knives. Nothing worse than blunt knives in the kitchen. That's when accidents happen. And there we go, back in the box. Easy to set down, compact, quite good value I reckon.